this episode, I interview Sean Duggan, an aerospace, aeronautical, and astronautical engineer that went to San Diego State. He is now a staff mechanical engineer, and these are some of the aircraft that he has worked on. Hello, my name is Connor Dixon. I'm here with Sean Duggan, a aerospace and aeronautical and aerospace engineer that went to SDSU. Sean, what inspired you to become an engineer, and was there a specific moment in your life that you wanted to become an engineer?
Um, I think what inspired me, where I grew up, there was always planes flying overhead, as I guess anyone would typically have flying over their heads. And I was always fascinated how these big hunks of metal stayed up in the air and never came crashing down on us. So, when I was a kid, I always wanted to become an astronaut, and that kind of led me into the path of aerospace. Learning what it takes to get things to fly and what it takes to get things into space.
Mm. Yeah, and I know you went to SDSU, considered a top party school. What was your experiences going to a school like that and having to be in the engineering program there?
Sure, yeah. When I went there, it was a lot less difficult to get in as it is now. So I would say the grades that I had coming out of high school, I probably would not get into state now. However, once I was in there, I quickly realized that there's a lot of commitment, there's a lot of early morning classes, there's a lot of hidden, I guess, details that I was not privy to before, diving into college. I definitely learned that in the aerospace and typically in the engineering world, you really have to bear down pretty significantly to, I guess, really complete some of their difficult courses. There's some high level math, science, and engineering courses that can really take up some time. And you said San Diego State is was a party school, and I think you have to weigh the balance of how much social life you would like and how dedicated you could be to and still succeed in the college career that you're going through.
Hmm. And I know after you went to SDSU, you went to Embry-Riddle. How was that school different from SDSU and your experiences there?
That's a good question. So I did Embry-Riddle through a satellite school, which is, if it's not about satellites, but it's a school that's not at the Prescott campus. So there was some courses that they offered in person in San Diego that I could go to, but mainly it was all online. So going from San Diego State, which was, all on campus and in person, to going online, that was a bit of a transition for me because you really have to, again, be really diligent in what you're supposed to be getting done week by week. There's no one that's going to be holding your hand through it. It's your money to get through that higher level learning that, if you don't do it, you're only hurting yourself. So
Hmm.
at the time, I did not have a lot of distractions. I wasn't, no kids at the time, so I was able to get through it. But it was, uh, it was definitely a challenge because you're working full time, then you're going to school, and then you still try to have some sort of a life outside of all that. So I'd say it was a good challenge. I'm glad I did it, and it was definitely difficult.
And if you could go back to anything from your past jobs or in college, what would be one thing that you would change?
Past jobs or in college? In college, I, I wish I had been on more projects, engineering projects. At San Diego State, they had like a design, build, fly project, and they also had a rocket team. I knew some people on that and did a little bit of involvement, but I wish I had been more involved in those project-based teams at the time, because once you get into your working career, everything is project and teams related, and you really have to understand, that your specific portion of that project or your specific thing that you need to help out is important, and you can't be late, and it's good for, team communication and say like, hey, I might be behind on this. I need to have some answers from some other group. So I think that would have been a good eye-opening experience to get, used to working in a team environment in the engineering world. That's what I think I would highly recommend and wish I had done different.
And what would be some advice you'd give to high schoolers going into engineering college, or college students looking that are struggling in college, or just want to know more about engineering?
Sure. When I came out of college, I did not know what I wanted to do. I think I came in undeclared to San Diego State, and then I went into physics. I really enjoyed physics classes in high school. I really enjoyed the physics courses that I took at San Diego State early on, and that kind of led me into the path of looking at engineering. So, like I said before, I've always been inspired by aerospace and space exploration. I wanted to become an astronaut or work on things that would go to another planet. So when I was starting off in those early courses, I knew that, whatever path I take, I'm going to need some like the mathematic calculus classes and the physics and the chemistry classes. So um, I would say if you don't know what route you want to take, that's okay. You can always change. Usually you could change your major if it's not impacted. But I think it's good if you already know that you want to go into engineering, focus on what type, if it's mechanical, if it's aerospace, if it's electrical, look into what kind of, I guess, for lack of a better term, what kind of market, what kind of uh, industry that you'd want to be in. So, like I said, with the rocket team that they had there, mechanical engineering, they also had like a buggy team that worked. I think it was ASME that worked on like making like a buggy that would go off-roading. So there's different
Mm.
things that if you think you want to go automotive or if you want to go uh, civil engineering or things like that, it if I had known exactly, the path I wanted to take, and I think a lot of kids now do, I think it's wise to, I guess, narrow your sights on if you can on which path to go.
Hmm. And what do you think a high schooler should look for in a good engineering school or program? Is there certain um, things that a college needs to have a good program?
Yeah, they definitely need to be accredited. I know schools have to go through constant like reaccreditation, if that's a word, where they show like the things that we are teaching these students are what they will need in the real world, and industry people say, yes, we agree, you're teaching them the right thing. So it'd definitely be good to know that your school is accredited by the industry that you want to go into. San Diego State, it was and still is. So, if you're just trying to decide between one or two or three schools, that would be something that you definitely want to be aware of. And then also, like I said, with the engineering department at San Diego State has definitely grown and it's definitely becoming larger and larger. I know other schools like Cal Poly SLO and UCLA and they're all over on the West Coast and East Coast and everywhere. But they a lot of times they're they're kind of like fed by the industry that's around them. So what I mean is like in LA, there's a ton of aerospace, there's a ton of automotive, and they tend to, go to those schools and say, hey, we want to be a part of what you guys are doing. Sometimes they'll come out there for career fairs. A lot of times they offer internships. So being a part, if you know that your school is being often visited um, by industry uh, companies and they offer internships, that's really a good way to try to get funneled into those industries. At my company at General Atomics, we have a lot of people that have gone to Cal Poly SLO. So a lot of times they tend to go to Cal Poly Slow and ask, hey, do you have a new crop of interns that we can maybe take a look and see if we're interested in them? So I think it's really helpful to know if like if you want to work at Boeing, Boeing probably is all over UCLA's campus all the time. So kind of things like that.
And what kind of problems have you faced in your jobs that stuck with you throughout your that your past multiple jobs and in college? And has there been a specific problem that's been difficult throughout all that time?
Um, I guess across all so I've been at a couple companies and um, the I think the hardest thing you're always going to have a technical problem that's usually the fun part about the engineering. But sometimes the schedule can be the hardest problem. You could get the job done, but when they say we need this in 6 months, you're like, wow, that's very aggressive, and we're gonna really have to bear down and work as a team to get there. But I would say for the most part, the hardest problem I've come across is schedule. Um, I if you're are you asking like from a technical standpoint
Just
that
like a problem that stuck with you throughout your career that's with any problem.
okay. Um, Sometimes I guess if I were to look at it from like a holistic standpoint, you when you're going through, say, like a new design on some part or whatever, like I design parts for parts of the aircraft, and then we have to do iterations on what the design is, and then do stress analysis and thermal analysis. Some things that could really get you hung up is the initial like trade study of looking at many different ways to make this component or this design work, and you could really get bogged down in the details. And sometimes it's helpful to sit back, get another fresh set of eyes on it, which is one of your teammates, and say, what am I missing? What do you get? What I'm so buried in the weeds here that I can't see the greater picture. And maybe there's something that's like obvious, like why does it have to look like that? Can it maybe there's another way to look at this from a different angle. So I think throughout all the different positions I've had, I think that's probably one of the first ones that could jump out at me.
And how is your field of engineering and your job right now changing with advancements in new technology in AI and new computers? And
We are at my current company at General Atomics, we are getting more exposed to AI. It's brand new to me. I don't understand it. But we do a lot of robotics. We do a lot of automated, we do a lot of CAD work, and that CAD work feeds into machining, and that's all you could have different programming robotics to be fed into those mills. As far as the AI goes, that's pretty interesting stuff that I'm not sure exactly how it's going to play out, because you could feed it, as I understand it, different parameters, and it'll spit out, it'll optimize and iterate on it till I don't know how long, maybe give it some sort of limit, but um, it's only going to be based off of the inputs, the parameters that you give it, as far as I understand. So I think there's a lot of um, inherent.
manpower is still required.
Yeah, I was gonna say like intuitive, or like this just doesn't feel right, that the computer is not sensing what, like that could be structurally sound and everything, but maybe a human's hand can't get in there to fix this bolt or replace a
Mhm.
part or something like that. So I think that's going to be pretty interesting to see where that goes, especially in the aerospace industry.
And what is something that is happening in your job or in just engineering in general that you think is really cool that not a lot of people know about right now?
Um, I think in the aerospace world, I think the new I think they're called AAM, like automated air mobility. It's basically the new electronic or the new EV aircraft that can fly autonomously and go from point to point without going to an airport. So that's like the air taxis that are like Uber's investing in, and companies like Joby, and that I think I think it will be the next wave of aerospace because they'll be quiet, they'll be quick to go from, Los Angeles to San Diego in what could be, 30 minutes, or it could be 3 hours in traffic. So I think that's a pretty interesting industry that's, if if it's allowed to be certified by the FAA, could have just broad horizons for, they could be in every city, they could be in every country. But I think they have a lot of technical challenges that they're going to have to convince the government that, if there is no pilot on board and this is just a self-flying airplane, that the passengers are going to be safe in there. And you're going to have to convince people to get on these
Mhm.
things.
If you weren't an engineer, what do you think you'd be doing as a career, or add more hobbies to your life? What do you think you'd be doing with more time, or just as an extra your career?
Yeah, if I wasn't an engineer, I would probably want to be a pilot, because I just love flying. And I went to try to get my private pilot's license, but monetarily, I just couldn't keep going that route. That, I knew I wasn't going to become a private pilot, or not private, a commercial pilot. But I would always want to go back to get a private pilot's license just so you could have your own little Cessna and fly around and go explore. My greatest wish would have been to have a seaplane so that you could take off and land in any lake, or go up through the Pacific Northwest and go see, kind of like bushwhacking. So I don't know how I'd make that a career, but maybe
Hmm.
I could do some scouting, or some maybe search and rescue, or something like that, where I could fly my seaplane in and out, and make that job a more than a hobby.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Sean. That'll be all for us. If you like this episode of An Engineer's Journey, don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment if I should do season 2, and comment any additional questions you'd like me to ask. That'll be all. Bye bye.